Okay. Hi everyone. We're going to pick up where we left off. I got 271.35 degrees. Now I didn't leave off here, but I'm going to do some calculations now. 271.35 degrees. Now that is 35 hundredths of a degree, which is 35 hundredths, or 0.35 times 60 minutes. That is the conversion we need to do for minutes there. And when I take 0.35 times 60, I get 21. So that equals 21 minutes. So the whole degrees, I got 271 degrees, and then the partial part is 21 minutes. And since there's no decimal part here, I'm not going to go to seconds. It's just 27 degrees, or 271 degrees and 21 minutes. Now, for the next part here, it's 38 degrees, and the minutes here, that's 11/60ths of a minute. 11 seconds is 11/60ths. So it's 20 and 11/60th minutes, and it's minutes over 60 for degrees. So you could do 20 over 60, 11 over 60. I'm going to do the 11 over 60 part. And 11 divided by 60 is 0.183 repeating. So I've got 38 degrees and 20.183 repeating. I'm going to divide that by 60. And I'm getting, well, I'm going to add, let me do that. I'm going to take 20.183 and then divide that by 60. And I get 38.336 degrees. Now you can do the 11 divided by 60, add that to the 20, and then divide that by 60 for the 60 minutes per degree, and you'll come up with that. All right, number 9. Find the length of the arc below. Okay, we do the dark arc. And the central angle is 315 degrees. Theta is 315 degrees times pi over 180 degrees. The degrees cancel out. Let's see, 315 over 180. Let's see, 45. This looks like 7 1/4. This is, we want the nearest hundredth though, so let's just figure out what theta is without simplifying that. The arc length is r times theta. So theta needs to be in radians. The central angle needs to be in radians. So we got to convert the 315 degrees to radians. And r is 11 feet. So the arc length is 11 feet times, I'm going to just plug this in, take 315 times pi divided by 180. And I'm getting 5.4978 This is radians. And then when I multiply that by 11, the nearest hundredth, I get 60.48, and that is in feet. Okay, I'm recording. You want to come in? All right, we've got a visitor here. Okay.
I just wanted to see if I could have a review.
Oh,
yeah. In class, yeah.
Okay. Let me pause this for a second. All right. Okay, number 11. Give the measure in degrees of the central angle that intercepts a 5.7 centimeter arc in a circle whose radius is 10 centimeters. So, you got your circle here. You got a 5.7 meter arc. And you got a radius of 10. Centimeters. Okay. All right. Now we want theta. When we use S equals R theta, theta is going to be in 5.7 should be here. Okay, sorry about that. 5.7 is the arc length, centimeters. The radius is 10 centimeters, and theta is right there, and I'm going to divide by 10 centimeters on both sides. Centimeters cancel out there. Everything cancels out there except for the theta is 0.57. Now that's radians. Said the measure in degrees though, so I'm going to take the 0.57 radians and I'm going to multiply that by 180 degrees over pi radians. And then those will cancel, and my answer, this calculation will be my answer. And it is 2 times pi. I don't know why I just did that. It is not 2 times pi. It's 0.57 times 180 divided by pi. And I'm getting 32 point, I'm going to go 66 degrees for that answer. Okay, number 13. We've got the same scenario. It's the carousel with a 50-foot diameter, makes 4 revolutions per minute. And here's what we're going to do with these 4 revolutions per minute. We want miles per hour. Now, one time around the merry-go-round, one time around the carousel is the circumference. And the circumference of this is 2 pi r, or pi times diameter. Diameter is 50, so this is 50 pi feet. So I'm going to take 50 pi, and that's how many feet you travel per revolution. When you go around one time, you go 50 pi feet, and that cancels out. So now what I've got here is 200 pi, and that's feet per minute. And the only thing left here to do is change that to miles per hour. Okay, I do know 5,280 feet equals 1 mile, so those are equivalent. I want the feet to cancel out, so I'm going to put the 5,280 feet and the 1 mile here. And that gives me I'm going to multiply this out now. 200 times pi divided by 5,280. That gives me 0.118997, I'm keeping a lot of decimals here, miles per minute. And if I multiply that by 60 minutes per hour, my minutes will cancel out and I'll have miles per hour. And so just multiply that answer by 60. I'm going to go 7.14 miles per hour. Okay, there's 13. Number 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. Okay, I'm just going to kind of make a makeshift unit circle. Pi over 4 is right here. I know square root of 2 over 2 and square root of 2 over 2 are the coordinates there at pi over 4. And the sign is the y coordinate. So I'm going to go radical 2 over 2. 7 pi over 6. Here's 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6, 5 pi over 6, 6 pi over 6, 7 pi over 6 is right here. That's a negative x-coordinate. So that's negative radical 3 over 2 and a negative y-coordinate, negative 1/2. It's cosine, so we want the x-coordinate. Negative square root of 3 over 2. 2 pi over 3, that's 4 pi over 6. 4 6 and 2/3 are equal. 1 pi over 3, 2 pi over 3, 3, here's 4 pi over 3. I'm doing this wrong. 1 pi over 6, 2 pi over 6, 3 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6 is this one right here. Okay, the x-coordinate is negative 1/2. The y-coordinate is positive square root of 3 over 2. And the sine over cosine is how you get that. And those 2's cancel out. You're going to get the negative square root of 3 for number 17. Cosecant of 3 pi over 2. This is 1 pi over 2, 2 pi over 2. This is 3 pi over 2 right here. The coordinates here are 0, negative 1 right there. And cosecant is 1 over sine, or the reciprocal of sine. The sine is negative 1. The reciprocal of negative 1 is still negative 1. So there's 18. Now negative 7 pi over 4. That's pi over 4s are the half quadrant angles. 1 pi over 4, 2 pi over 4, 3 pi over 4, 4 pi over 4, 5 pi over 4. I'm counting in the negatives. This is negative 6 pi over 4. This is negative 7 pi over 4. I already have the coordinates there. The secant is 1 over cosine. So I'll take the reciprocal of radical 2 over 2. So that's 2 over radical 2. And I will multiply top and bottom by radical 2. And I get 2 radical 2 over 2. Those 2's cancel out. So that's just the square root of 2. And then the cotangent of pi. Pi is right here. and the coordinates of pi are -1 and 0. Cotangent is cosine over sine. -1 over 0, that's undefined. So the cotangent of pi is undefined. All right. Now, sine is an odd function, and when you look at the opposite angles, t and -t, you change to the opposite value. So that's -1/5. Now the cosecant of -t is the reciprocal of the sine of -t, so that's -5 over 1, or just -5. Cosine is an even function, and the cosine of -t is equal to the cosine of t. Well, the cosine of -t is -2/3, so is the cosine of t. And then the secant is the reciprocal of cosine, so that's -3/2. All right. I'm going to stop at this point and make one more video to finish up.